Good afternoon, Mikel.
Afternoon.
Can we start off with any team news after the Atletico game?
Yeah, not much. Obviously, Big Gabi had to leave the pitch with an issue, and he hasn't been able to train yet. So let's see how he evolves in the next 24 hours, whether he's available or not for the weekend.
And any news on the longer-term injuries in Mikel Arteta, Havertz, Jesus? Any news on timescale?
They are all progressing really well. They are started to do certain activities. They are all super willing to be available as quick as possible, but at the moment none of them are yet in contention in the next week or so.
Incredible stat, 3 goals conceded only in your first 12 games. It's the least in the history of the club. Is there a motivation to create more history, maybe even break Chelsea's record from back in the day?
Yeah, we want that this kind of records that we are getting a lot at the end brings the silverware and the trophies that we want. But obviously, the more we can produce, I think the closer we're going to be to achieve what we want to do. And that defensive record is very good, but we need to be consistent. It's only just the start of the season, and the aim is to continue improving things, which we can do still, a lot of them, to be even better.
Crystal Palace next, I guess a big game for Gabriel Eze in particular, his first game against his former club. What are his emotions like? What have you noticed?
It's a big game for us because last season here we dropped some points, and it's the 4th game in a row that we're going to play against opponents that we drop points, and this season we've been able to beat them. So we focus us on that. We know that for Eps it's going to be a very special match with the history and what he did for Palace. But the focus is on the team.
Just on those 4 games, because you preempted my next question, but does that form part of your messaging to the team? Look, we didn't win against these 4 teams last season. You've done it with the previous 3. Now the chance to do it with the 4th.
Well, if we want a very different outcome, we better do very different things that we did last year, especially against these fixtures. So we know what Palace are doing, what Oliver has done for the football club, and the way they are getting results. So it's going to be a really tough match, but we're going to play again in front of our crowd, and we are confident if we hit our level, we have a big chance to win it.
Final one from me, Mikel. A lot of people are talking about the strength of your squad. Just from the manager's perspective, does that bring with it its own challenges? Because I'm guessing it can't be easy for you to leave out players who maybe deserve to be in the team, and how accepting on the flip side do the players have to be to know, look, you're not going to play as much as maybe you deserve or you want to?
Well, there are 2 sides to it. One, the emotional part and my attachment with the individual, with the person, and I would love to play all of them, but the second one, obviously, without a question of a doubt, I'd rather have this situation, the situation we had in the last few years when at some point we were very short in numbers. So we have created a very strong environment, a really competitive and supportive environment that hopefully can challenge to be very competitive every game. That's the aim, and that's what we want to achieve, and we just all go towards that direction.
Thank you.
Gabriel Jesus from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
You've obviously got some players who are in great form, but looking at Crystal Palace, Jean-Philippe Mateta looks like a completely new player. 5 goals so far in the opening, 8 Premier League games. How do you stop him?
Well, first of all, is obviously what they do as a team at their level of organization. They have very clear intentions of how they want to attack and which moment they use to attack and to hurt opponents. So stopping the source is probably the best way. When you get into certain situation within in 1v1, you know that that is very prolific, and it's been very, very successful, especially recently. So trying to avoid that.
From their attacker to one of your attackers, Victor, of course, getting a brace midweek against Atletico. What was your conversation with him like after that? Of course, a lot of rumblings around the...
He didn't need a conversation. He just needed a hug and just look at him and enjoy how happy he was after the game. And I think we were all very happy because he fully deserves that.
My final one, 15 goals so far from the opening games. I know you're used to many questions being asked about the manner in which the goals are being scored, with 2/3 of them coming from set pieces. Are you at all concerned that it's only 5 from open play at this stage?
No, not at all. Because I don't see football like open play and set pieces. I see the game in a different way.
Okay, thank you. Best of luck.
You.
Ian from Talksport.
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
You going on from that then, the set pieces. I mean, a lot of people say that Arsenal score most of their goals from set pieces. They still can't stop you, and yet football seems to be going more to teams who want to be like you, scoring from set pieces. How have you done and perfected this?
With work. First of all, creating the culture, giving to that part of the game the importance that it has, understanding that again football is evolving and the opponents are behaving against us, that we have to maximize certain things that happen very frequently. So something that happens very frequently better has a lot of value to us, so trying to maximize that and be effective.
At what point did you say though, did you hone in on the fact that this was going to be such a rich source of goals and so good for your team?
10 years ago.
Explain.
10 years ago, I said, I think it has to be, I wasn't here, but 10 years ago I said, it's a massive thing to do that, and I started to have a vision and try to implement a method and try to be surrounded by the best people to deliver that.
Just a couple more. Firstly on the defence, Arsene Wenger's success, everyone thought was built around that real famous back four and David Seaman at the back. Are you trying to replicate that without copying and pasting? Are you trying to replicate that Arsenal success with a tight back four?
I just go back to the history of football in general and the teams that have the best defensive record most of the times, except for the last 3 seasons in the Premier League, which we've been. Normally you win the league. So just go against those stats, but the stronger we are in that foundation, the bigger the probability to win games are.
Last one. It's easy when you're a manager, if things are going wrong. I know what I need to put right. How easy is it to manage when things are going perfectly as they are now? And there's temptation not to touch anything, or is there temptation still to?
No, but they are far from perfect, and there are a lot of things that we must do better. Obviously, there are a lot of things that we're doing very, very well, and we need to maintain that. So it's just about understanding that the margins to win football games at this level are very small. In certain moments, we had certain luck. In certain moments, we have fully deserved to win them, but that's not going to be the same trajectory all the way in the season, and we need to be prepared for that. So the more alert we are, the more urgency we have, the more desire we have for the next game, we're going to be in a better place to win the game.
Thank you.
Tom, Football London.
Hi Mikel.
Hi.
We saw at the Emirates on Tuesday the light show and the integration of fans' phones. We also saw the messages at half-time and before the game started to encourage fans to get back into their seats as well as early as possible to create a supportive and intimidating atmosphere. How important is that element for you in potentially title race and the impact it can have on games?
Key, capital. One of the most important things. And I love that because we don't expect supporters to turn up to the stadium. We want them just to play the game with us, which is very different. And in order to do that, you have to be in your seat. You have to be in your seat with a certain behavior, with a certain body language. And it's a good test. Sunday at 2 p.m., how are we going to turn up after a big Champions League? And if we're going to go to another step and do something that we didn't do last year, everybody has to turn into the stadium with that mindset. So that's what I want to see.
And can I ask you about what it's like playing against a former club, as Everett Cherry is going to do this weekend? You, of course, played against Everton when you moved to Arsenal. What challenges does that create for a player when they're playing teammates, former teammates and former friends, of course, so soon after they've moved?
There is something else in your tummy, obviously. There is history, there are a lot of emotion, there are very close relationships. You might think once you stepped in there and you go with that mindset, sometimes you have even more will to win. Because as well, obviously, you made that decision here to be successful and to achieve something else in your career. And I'm sure Epps is going to be ready for that.
Thank you.
Simon, Evening Standard.
Mikel, can I just ask you about that when you said 10 years ago you saw the importance of set pieces? Was that because when you I think that would have been your last year as a player doing your badges, I assume. Is that because you saw where the game was going and you thought that was going to be a key part of the era of football that we're in now?
Yeah, and because I went to City with the best manager in the world, and I could see where we could have improvements, and it was clear because at some point I was doing that and I wasn't the best person in the world to do it. So if I'm not the best person in the world to do it and the best method to do it, there are ways to improve it. And you could see that straight afterwards what started to happen. But it's not only obsessive that. I'm the same with the defensive part. In every transition, I want to be the best. When it comes to chaos, I want to be the best. When it comes to positional attack, the best. When it comes to low blocks, the best. and that's the eagerness to constantly find ways to develop your team, to evolve your team, and to give your players more tools to be more unpredictable and especially more efficient. That's it.
And just one on that, Declan obviously, since he come here, has turned into probably one of the best set-piece takers in the country. I mean, he's had comparisons to David Beckham. What would you say to that, and what do you think that says about his performance?
Then again, I heard some quotes that he made about that this season position has changed a little bit, and I disagree with that because his position has evolved and he is becoming a total player. A total player has to be able to do as many things as possible, and he has the capacity to do that. So that's to evolve a player, to start to bring something else to the team, and especially when you talk about scoring goals and threatening the opposition goal, even better. And he's been instrumental in our improvement in that part of the game.
Harry, BBC.
Hi Mikel, just sticking with the theme of the midfield, obviously Martin Zubimendi's come in. It looks from the outside like he's adapted amazingly to Premier League football. What would you say specifically he adds to your midfield that maybe you didn't have in previous seasons?
Well, every player is different. We had some terrific midfielders here. He brings certain hierarchy, certain composure that it's very difficult to understand, and then the way he proceeds information and learns from the game and what is actually happening in the game at that speed is remarkable. And I think again about him, it was about unlocking certain spaces and his capacity to look further and to hurt the opposition when his teammates are further from the ball than himself, and then yeah, if he can add goals to it, even better.
Is there more to come from him then?
Yeah, a lot more. And the more he understands his teammates, the timing of that, and those relationships built, I think we'll see another level still on him.
Okay, we'll do the last couple in the as live section. Firstly, James from ESPN.
Carol, you said you don't see the game in open play and set pieces. Is a key part of it then the bit in between, the work you do in open play to then create the openings?
And the other way around. I mean, the football is like this. Football doesn't stop, so it's all connected. If you want to see the game like this, okay, I don't.
Do you feel the trend in the Premier League generally is kind of moving more towards your way of thinking? Do you see teams copying it?
I don't know, but it doesn't mean that it's more important. It's equally important. But what happens is what happens frequently in your games, and that's the things that you have to really dominate, and that's the opportunities to hurt your opposition. So we have to train and make sure that the things that are good for us happen very, very often, because it will be more difficult for the opponent. But I mean, I think everybody tries to do the same.
When you say, 10 years ago you sort of had this idea, can you just talk a bit about the patience and maybe the frustration you've had along the way? For 10 years to have that idea, and do you feel you're only now playing that kind of football? I mean, just talk a bit about that journey if you can.
No, it's not about that football. It's using those moments. And if you cannot generate other moments, make sure that you use these ones. But I think it's something that relates as well to the culture of the coach, the environment, and then the players that you have. And everything has to be aligned. I mean, if you want to have certain approach to the way you play the game, for example, we are super aggressive. You better sign and educate and train situation when the team can deliver that, because if not, you want to be a team that do really with high press, you better be the best in the world at tracking back, because at some point the ball is going to break your press. So you have to have players that are able to deliver that. So it's all in relation to what you want to do. You have to acquire and have and evolve the players in that direction.
Is this phase 5?
Sorry?
Is this phase 5?
No, but this is not about the phases. The phases, it was something else.
I'll ask you about that.
Okay.
Phil from PA.
Hi, Mikel. I know you spoke a little bit about this earlier, but the Chelsea record of 15 goals conceded in that season. If Arsenal continue on the path that you started this year, you'll be able to break that record. I mean, is it achievable? And if it is, what sort of message is that sending out to other teams about how tough Arsenal are to break down?
You mentioned the word if 3 times in that question, and in football, if is too many ifs. It's so unpredictable already, so on top of that you put ifs, then becomes extremely difficult. Focus on the things that we are doing consistently well, and if we can improve them, and let's see where we are at the end of the season.
Just sticking with the defence that have only conceded 1 goal from open play, I mean, is that better than you could have ever foreseen? And again, it's does that make Arsenal really intimidating to other teams?
Well, obviously it's something that that is super positive. If it's the first time that happened in our history, imagine how difficult it is to do it. So yeah, we are very happy to be performing at that level in a really important part of the game, especially. And now it's about continue doing it.
Okay, that finishes the As Live section. We'll now go to 10:30 UK tonight.